All right, let's talk about the Canterbury Tales. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Dusty old book, hard to read Middle English, right? But I want you to completely throw that idea out. Instead, think of this as a candid snapshot of life way back in the 14th century. I mean, this book isn't just a story, it's basically a time machine.
So, picture this. It's about 1387. You've got this whole motley crew of strangers who all happen to be at the same inn in London, and they're all headed to the same destination, Canterbury Cathedral. To make the long trip more interesting, the innkeeper comes up with a game, a storytelling contest. It's really the world's first road trip story, complete with a competition to see who's got the best tale.
And that, at its heart, is what the Canterbury Tales is. It's this collection of stories told by the travelers, all wrapped up in the bigger story of their journey. The author, a guy named Geoffrey Chaucer, was just a master observer of people. And he uses this really simple setup to put all of medieval English society right under a microscope.
Now, Chaucer, he had a plan, and it was a wildly ambitious one. There were around 30 pilgrims, and his grand idea was for each one to tell 2 stories on the way to Canterbury and 2 more on the way back. You do the math, that's a massive 120-tale collection he was aiming for.
But, well, like a lot of epic projects, it never actually got finished. Chaucer died before he could wrap it all up, so we're left with just 24 of the tales. And even though it's incomplete, what we do have is, without a doubt, one of the most important works in all of English literature.
And this really gets us to the heart of it. Because the real genius here isn't just the stories themselves, it's the people telling them. So, who were these pilgrims? And what does this cast of characters show us about the world they lived in?
To really get what Chaucer is up to, first we have to understand the blueprint of his society. See, the 14th century had this super rigid social structure, a real hierarchy, where everybody knew their place. Or, at least, they were supposed to. So check this out. Chaucer is incredibly clever in how he introduces his characters. He actually lists them in an order that mirrors the social ladder of his time. He starts way up at the top with the aristocracy, the noble knight. Then he works his way down through the clergy, the middle class, like merchants, and all the way down to the, let's say, less reputable types, like the pardoner at the very bottom. This isn't just a random list of people, it's a map of his entire world.
But here is where Chaucer's genius just explodes off the page. He takes this rigid social blueprint and fills it with living, breathing, and often deeply flawed human beings. Some of his characters are the absolute perfect model of what they're supposed to be, and others, well, let's just say others couldn't be farther from it. Let's look at a couple examples.
So the very first pilgrim Chaucer introduces is the knight, and this guy is the absolute gold standard. He is the perfect embodiment of a noble, chivalrous warrior. He is exactly what every knight was supposed to aspire to be, the real deal.
I mean, Chaucer tells us he's fought all over the known world, he's a man of honor, courtesy, has an outstanding reputation. But the most telling detail? It's what he's wearing. Despite being this high-status guy, he's in a simple tunic that's literally stained with rust from his armor. He's not some flashy show-off. He's a man of substance.
Okay, so now let's do a complete 180. We're going to contrast that noble ideal with someone who should be holy, but is anything but. Let's meet the friar. As a member of the clergy, his focus should be on God and helping the poor. But his real interests, they lie somewhere else entirely.
Chaucer calls him wanton and merry. Basically, he's a party boy. He's got a license to beg for the poor, but that money lines his own pockets. He's a hit with rich folks because he'll hear their confessions and then give them super easy penance, for a price. He's turned his holy duties into a very profitable little side hustle.
And this comparison just makes Chaucer's point so brilliantly. On one side, you have the parson. He's the ideal churchman, poor, humble, totally devout, a guy who actually practices what he preaches. And then, on the other side, at the very bottom of the moral barrel, you've got the pardoner. This guy is a complete con artist. He sells fake holy relics and forged pardons from the Pope. He is morally bankrupt, and Chaucer even points out his waxy, stringy hair and high-pitched voice as if his physical appearance is a sign of his corrupted soul.
So, what's the big idea here? What's the point of showing us all these characters? Well, it's not just a random collection of people. By putting the ideal right next to the corrupt, Chaucer is essentially putting his whole society on trial. He's using these pilgrims to critique the biggest institutions of his day, especially the church.
So how does it get away with it? With this
This brilliant little disclaimer. Chaucer, speaking as the narrator, basically says, hey, don't blame me for the crude or messed up stuff you're about to hear. I'm just a reporter. I'm just repeating the stories exactly as I heard them. It's an absolutely genius move that gives him total freedom to be brutally honest. Don't shoot the messenger.
And this is the key to the whole thing. Chaucer's real commentary, his real genius, lives in that gap, the space between who people are supposed to be and who they actually are. That gap between the perfect knight and the corrupt friar. That's where he exposes all the hypocrisy and the very human flaws of his world.
Now you might be thinking, okay, that's all very interesting for the 14th century, but why are we still reading this thing 600 years later? Well, it's because at its heart, the Canterbury Tales is about people. And you know what? People don't really change all that much.
I mean, seriously, think about it. We all still know these people today. The honorable veteran, that's the knight. The crooked official using his position for personal gain, that's the summoner. The broke college student who'd rather buy books than food, that's his clerk. The con artist is the partner. And that amazing, worldly woman who's been married 5 times and has an opinion on everything, that is the incredible wife of Bath. These aren't just medieval figures, they are timeless human archetypes.
Which leaves us with one final thought. If Chaucer were writing today, who would his pilgrims be? Who would be on that bus or that plane? A tech billionaire? An Instagram influencer? A burnout teacher? A cable news pundit? Who represents the ideals and the corruptions of our time? Because the characters may change, but the human comedy, that stays exactly the same.